Good morning, Brownsville. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you are watching this feed. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Frankie Olivo. Our program focuses on the very important issues that are affecting our local community. We have shed light on injustices and have allowed for this platform, this mic, to be that of the voice of the people. Now, if this is something that you can see yourself supporting, we ask that you like, comment, and share this live feed. Now, as of late, our Facebook page is at risk of being taken down. The powers that be do not want you, the community, to know the truth. We will not be silenced. If you really are about the cause and you really want to stand up to corruption and hold our leaders accountable, make sure you subscribe to our social media platforms. You could subscribe to both Frankie Olivo on Facebook, and also you can also subscribe to our YouTube page titled Frankie Olivo TV. Remember, fam, Good Morning Brownsville will come on Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. religiously, rain or shine. So make sure you subscribe to our Frankie Olivo TV on YouTube to tune in. And as always, thank you so much to each and every one of you for your time and attention. I really, really appreciate it. How we doing, chat? How we doing? Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Man, it's been a very, very busy few days, or yeah, these past few days have been very busy for your humble servant, and I'm very, very thankful. I always thank God for work. We got to take advantage of having the opportunity to serve our community in different capacities. So I'm very thankful to be busy. I hardly sleep. I wake up at 4 a.m. and my day starts. Well, I lie, 4:30. But yeah, it's been a very busy week as of late, but I'm very, very thankful to have this amazing opportunity that I have. Yesterday, fam, yesterday there was a school board meeting, a very, very entertaining school board meeting, and in that school board meeting, fam, we heard how that the parties, pretty much the board, could not come to a consensus in regards to filling the seat that is that of the former board president Erasmo Castro. The candidates qualifications, they were discussed in executive session, and the board, the BISD board, they could not come to a consensus to appoint someone to replace Erasmo Castro and place 7. A special call board meeting has been set for June 24th. What will happen? Will they come to an agreement on that day? Will they narrow the list of potential candidates on that day? Will there be, I don't know, presentations done, interviews given? Will TEA ultimately take over? Those are many, many questions that we still don't know the answers to. So again, it's very, very interesting moving forward on the dynamics, which is the BISD board. Again, we have an interim CFO. The superintendent is on a 1-year contract. It was renewed because it's deadlocked 3-3. And now, we're coming to the 11th hour because by August, if I'm not mistaken, the 180 days runs out in August. And by August, if no consensus is made by the board, TEA will come in. We've talked about previously how the likes of Houston, ISD, La Jolla here locally in the Rio Grande Valley, TEA, the board of managers, the TEA appointed their very own superintendent. Do we want that here? I don't know. There's been a lot of chaos. And at the rate that BISD is going, maybe it would be best. But then again, I'm more than sure that the board doesn't want this. Maybe some people do, maybe some don't. But nonetheless, that is the dilemma in which we are facing. Also, fam, also yesterday, there was an agenda item, the recommendation to continue the current contract with the board the board attorney. Again, 3-3 lock. So ultimately, moving forward, the school board will not have a board attorney. Their services end this month in June. So what will happen? Miguel Salinas, attorney who handles the administrative side, if I'm not mistaken, will now have double duties. He will now, starting in July, he will be the board counsel. So, and the reason behind it was, hey, let's save this $240,000. But the parties did come out and say, hey, this $240,000 is a flat rate. Not like Baltasar Salazar, who was charging $300,000 plus. And if we remember Baltasar Salazar, he would always contract out. He was always hiring attorneys, his friends, to work on cases. So what did that do to the bill? It just kept on going up and up and up. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very, very interesting episode. We titled our episode, Brownsville, should Minerva Pena be charged with a crime after last night's board meeting? It's never a dull day in the city of Brownsville, ladies and gentlemen. They always ask me, how the hell do you figure out what you're going to talk about? Well, these politicos, they give us a lot of material. Sit back, Brownsville. It's going to be another doozy episode. And that is how we will start today's show. Enjoy.
Mr. Flores, is it recommended for us as board members to go out to vendors, businesses in our official capacity to start negotiating costs, talking about costs, prices? Is that recommended?
So our advice would be that board members are policymakers, right? We discourage individual board members who are policymakers to engage someone in that capacity, and we advise that specifically because that person or entity could take that as an engagement. We would not want to put any of the trustees in that position.
Thank you.
May I ask legal a question? Sir, is it okay or normal as a citizen of the city to go find an expert in an area and ask him information as a community member, not as a board member? Which is because if somebody knows the law, it's me, and I follow it directly. And you go and you ask. I mean, I can't believe those teachers are being real rude. God forgive us. Anyway, I want to make sure, sir, that I can go and ask a question as a citizen on something that I have an interest in, not in my official capacity, but as a community member, because so many people have cable and they're paying for cable, but they can't get it on. I know, like Denise mentioned, well, you got to pay for it. A lot of people are paying for it, but they can't get that channel. So in my community status, I can go and ask information and ask them, could you help us define this only as general information? Nothing but general information.
Yes, ma'am. I understand that the trustee Pena, the intention may be well placed. However, when a trustee or an elected official engages somebody, you cannot divest yourself of your elected official capacity and say, I'm only coming in as a community member. The perception will always be that you are a trustee of the governmental entity.
The perception. But
well, it's not perception, it's reality, right? You are an elected official.
You're an attorney. I'm going to be one too.
I am.
It is perception. And I know for a fact that we can go and do that. We can take it to a court of law and we end up winning it. My thing is, I make sure that I do it in a position to help the community. I have no vested interest in this. And for anyone to accuse me of that, it is very hurtful, because then they come and ask you for help, but then they turn around and they go after you for something you were doing clean, to really try and do a difference. But I'm glad that I can learn and I can see how we say we're for kids and then we're not, because we don't do right by children, because we don't give them what they need. And a lot of people are already paying for cable and they're asking me, why isn't that channel on there? And they took it off. That's
If I may, Madam
Yes, Mr.
President,
Sandoval.
according to Spectrum, there,
Just 1 second. Ms. Pena, did you have a follow-up question? I'm not sure. I didn't catch it at the
No,
last
no,
time.
just saying that, like, when I went and asked, like I said,
Okay.
as a citizen, because I want to see it on TV too. I have cable. I have the boxes. I want to see it there.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Sandoval.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. According to Spectrum, there are 58,633 cable subscribers in Brownsville. Out of those, 958 watch Spectrum in the year of August 15, 2023 to August 15, 2024. That tells me that only 1.63% of cable subscribers watch Spectrum, the 1301.
Ms. Garza just asked me, and then Mr. Elizondo, and then let's please wrap it up.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez Valdez. And this goes to you, Mr. Flores. I know you mentioned, about our official capacity and what how it looks out there. So maybe moving forward, if there's anything like that, then it would be best for board members not to place it on the agenda, maybe just set up a meeting with, that vendor and the superintendent and just step away completely from those talks and conversations.
The legal advice on behalf of us, right? Legal would be the appropriate measure would be for the board member to direct Dr. Chavez to then ask the appropriate staff member to engage in those conversations, right? And that is a governance which TEA themselves asks to implement.
So we can play double, right? We can't say, oh, we're going out there as a citizen of the community and then place it on the agenda as a board member.
I did not place Spectrum on the agenda. It is not on the agenda. Make sure you note that, attorney.
Yeah, I would just advise that again, any trustee not engage a vendor. That would be my advice. Of course, that is not a mandate or a requirement. It is just our advice to appropriately protect the entity.
Thank you, Mr. Flores, and for always looking out for.
So again, today's show, we titled it, Brownsville, should Minerva Pena be charged with a crime after last night's board meeting? And if I could start off by providing some context to the situation. And again, Minerva's actions last night were embarrassing and horrible. She openly admitted that she negotiated with a vendor. And again, these are the people that Daniela Lopez Valdez is making a deal with. This is the ones that are going to be, they're going to be working things out. Remember, we made the statements. We talked about how there was Martin Sarkis and Joe Rod's relatives that were going to be nominated. Maybe because we've been covering this story, maybe Martin Sarkis wasn't even nominated. Maybe Joe Rod's relative wasn't nominated. Maybe they were. But setting the context to this episode, yesterday there was an agenda item that read, presentation, discussion, and possible action regarding reconnecting KBSD Spectrum Channel 1301 to the TV studio at Porter High School to showcase BISD's achievement at no cost to the district. Remember that. This item addresses the opportunity to bring back the channel to Porter TV studio. Reestablishing this connection will enhance the district's ability to highlight the accomplishments of BISD students, teachers, and administrators, providing valuable community exposure, again, at no cost to the district. And this was put on the agenda by Minerva Pena and Carlos Elizondo, board members. Again, it's very important for us to recognize what we're dealing with. Minerva Pena wanted to have BISD content, board meetings to be streamed on cable. Now, there have been issues with the district's YouTube page. If you haven't noticed already, it's down. It was taken down after they started getting complaints of it being spam for whatever reason. Now, the issue at hand was that Porter High School was assigned as an area that was once used to house the equipment to stream. Now, that equipment is no longer there. That equipment has been moved to cab, if I'm not mistaken. And now the facility, the space that was once used to house that equipment, well, now is being used by Porter students. And they use that space for pretty much what we do. You know, they televise. I believe they have like a morning show program where they have the news, which is, you know, it's awesome. I think that's pretty cool. But the interesting thing about this is, ladies and gentlemen, is that Minerva Pena called on a representative. She brought a Spectrum representative to discuss prices, options, cost to be able to stream on cable. Now, information was provided to the board that stated that, and it showed on the video, that less than 1% of viewers in Brownsville that paid for cable did not even watch this channel. Now, it could be because, you know, there's no commercials and it's just a loop. Possibly. But Minerva Pena and the Spectrum rep stated in open forum in front of everybody that it would be free. Well, in reality, it would cost the district. I believe they gave an estimate of $40-some thousand. The rep did state that if they were to change the equipment from point A to point B, it would have a cost. But if they didn't have to move that equipment back, it would be a zero cost. I think there was a $2,800 yearly fee to have this streamed back on cable. So essentially, ladies and gentlemen, it is going to cost the district something. Because in order for it to get it for free, well, they would have to send their equipment back to Porter, which that space was already being utilized by the students. But again, the important thing to highlight here, ladies and gentlemen, is that Minerva Pena was playing negotiator with a vendor. And the way it works, do board members associate, hang out with vendors? Absolutely. They go out to eat. They go out for drinks. They take them to sports concerts, to sporting, events. That is known. It's not a secret. But the fine line, ladies and gentlemen, the fine line is that you don't discuss services, you don't discuss prices, you don't discuss logistics. That's a no-no. If we heard from Attorney Flores, Board Counsel Flores, he stated it's best to avoid that. Why? Because as a board member, you cannot be engaging with a vendor. And board member, based on the video that we just showed, board member Jessica Gonzalez, she asked the board attorney, is it recommended as a board member for us up here to go out as board members and to conduct business in our official capacity, to negotiate cost, talking about prices? You see what I'm getting at, ladies and gentlemen? The role that board members have is policy making. They decide yes or no. They don't decide prices. They don't talk logistics. No. That is the role of BISD personnel. That is the role of the superintendent and his staff moving forward. The board attorney, he did state that the board members are policymakers, and he emphasized this. He discourages individual board members who are policymakers to engage someone in that capacity. And they advise, they give this advice because the vendors, they could take it as, oh, they're engaging. or oh, they're gonna say yes, and we have that commitment because that's a board member. That's a board member. Now, again, during yesterday's, and it was a very entertaining. It was a long / entertaining board meeting, ladies and gentlemen. But one thing that we saw was how Minerva Pena, for whatever reason, she openly stated, "Hey, I know the law," which caused people to laugh in the audience. She says, "I know the law. I follow the law." And she told the attorney, "You're an attorney. I wanted to be an attorney. I know the law." People were like, "Damn, she's a legal eagle or what?" And so she admitted. that now, Minerva Pena, and again, this was an open forum, ladies and gentlemen. We're not talking about executive session. This was live and in color. Minerva Pena. Now we have a board member openly admitting that she was negotiating because she knew how much it would cost. She knew about numbers. The funny thing about this, ladies and gentlemen, was that she denied placing this on the agenda. She stated, "Well, I didn't put it on the agenda." Here we have from the BISD website of the June 10th, 2025 board meeting, where according to agenda item 12A, action item, a board member request, this agenda item was placed by Minerva Pena and Carlos Elizondo. So she did place it. Now, the question thing, ladies and gentlemen, the interesting thing is, did she follow procedures? Did she follow the proper protocol of what a board member should do? Patricia Hernandez, did Minerva Pena break the law when she was, what do you call it, fam? Soliciting, engaging with a vendor? Again, do board members have relationships with vendors? Yes, 100% they do. Yes. They're friends, they're acquaintances, they're drinking buddies. They hang out socially. Is it wrong? No, it's not wrong because, there's friendships. What's wrong is once you start meddling the waters, once you start negotiating, once you know prices, once you know, hey, I got this. I'm going to take it upon myself because it's for the kids. That's not the role. That's not the role of a board member. Now, we pose the question, should Minerva Pena have a seat, Patricia Hernandez? Does Minerva Pena should she be removed from the school board? And look, this hits close to home, very close to home. Because Erasmo Castro resigned back in 2016, 2017, after he was charged with DWI. For those that remember, District Attorney Luis V. Science of Cameron County went very hard after Erasmo for a Class B misdemeanor. And look, hey, we should always hold our elected leaders accountable. I agree with that. We should hold those individuals that promise the community that they're going to do what's in the best interest for the community. We should hold them to a higher standard. And again, here at Good Morning Brownsville, we always focus on addressing individuals based on what they've done as board members. This is nothing personal. It's never personal. It's always based on merit. We will never use this mic to weaponize, to attack people. We use this mic to present you, the community, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We present you the black and the white. We stay away from the gray area. Why? Because I want you to decide on how you feel on that issue. If you're okay with a board member being charged with DWI and the DA not going after him, okay. You know, that's your prerogative. Some people are against that. If you are okay with a board member engaging with vendors, okay, you know, there's that's your prerogative. But there's some people out there that say, hey, man, that's not right. That's not right. Again, Luis Science, and he had every right to do so. It was a Class B misdemeanor, but he went hard on Erasmo Castro. They forced Erasmo Castro to resign. Oh, he willingly did it himself, but he resigned from the board because of this. And here, just yesterday, in an open forum, you had a board member saying that she was negotiating with a vendor. She knew the price. She knew the cost. Why would she do that? Is she clueless? Is she not aware that? And again, this isn't a freshman board member, ladies and gentlemen. No, we're not talking about someone that just got on the board. You know, Frank Ortiz, he has 2 years, 3 years. Maybe, you know, you could have someone like Frank Ortiz say, "Oh, well, you know, I didn't know it." We could possibly say, "Well, you know, he's not as experienced, you know, he just has 2 years. Maybe he's not aware with the proper procedures, protocols, maybe." Minerva Pena has 16 years, and after this term, I believe it's going to be 20 years. So this isn't a freshman board member that is naive, that has no idea of procedure. She's very well, according to her, she knows the law. I know the law. I follow the law. The board attorney said, hey, I strongly suggest that you shouldn't do that. She admitted that it was wrong. That she said, "Oh, well, I'm sorry. You know, I didn't know that, you know, I'm doing it all about the kids." And bless myself. She admitted, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, she admitted that she was wrong. She said, "Oh, well, you know, people, if we do this, you know, people, if this board is not going to allow me to do this, well, then people are just going to get upset and they're never going to come back. They're never going to ask me for stuff. They're never gonna want for me to help them because this board doesn't like that. This board doesn't. This board is not all about the children. It's not." That's what she said. Why would she say that? Why would she say that she was aware that she was wrong, but no biggie? It's very, I don't know, it's very disheartening. It's very scary that a board member would admit to this, that, oh, okay, well, it's wrong, but I'm doing it for the kids. You can't do that. Her excuse was, I came to Spectrum as a community member. They don't know Minerva Pena as a community member. Well, again, she's a politica. She's been around for a while, but everybody knows her as BISD school board member Minerva Pena. If Minerva Pena calls an entity such as Spectrum and says, "Hey, I need y'all to come. I need y'all to talk about this because this is something that we need to address," they're gonna say, "Okay, we'll be there." Why? Because that's a board member. Is a vendor. You think a vendor does want to get in the wrong, in the bad with a school board member? No. If a school board member says, "I need you here at 5 p.m. to present," I'll be there at 4 p.m., ma'am. I'll be ready to present. And that goes to everyone across the board. If a vendor gets a call from a board member, they're gonna be there. They know better. They don't know the proper protocols. They don't know that they should be contacted by the superintendent's office, by his department in charge of handling these matters, that initiates the contact, that has the interview, has the negotiations, that asks those questions. Does Minerva Pena not care because maybe she feels she'll be protected? We have made some startling discoveries in regards to the likes of the next appointment for BISD. We've heard of names. We've heard of a deal that Daniela Lopez Valdez and Carlos Elizondo have, had, will have. It's something concrete. We're not talking this out of our butt. But they're spooked because of our show. And look, we're not taking credit for it. We're nobodies. We're humble servants. We're members of the community. I'm a nobody. But does she feel that she doesn't care because she'll be protected? Because at the rate we're going and what we've been hearing and what we've been reporting, Carlos Elizondo will eventually get, if it goes according to what we've been hearing. Again, things change in a New York minute, ladies and gentlemen. The idea was that Martin Sarkis was going to get appointed. Nominated by Daniela, seconded by Carlos. We have proof of that, and we will show it very soon once we get our hands on it. Once we reported it, oh, plan B. Once we went to plan B, damn it, plan C. Y así los llevamos. Because they do not want to look bad. They do not want to say, damn, Frankie was right, but guess what? Everything we've been talking about these last 2-3 weeks, ladies and gentlemen, is spot on. Is spot on. Spot on. Minerva Pena claimed that she knows the law, which caused people in the audience to laugh. Minerva Pena's actions, ladies and gentlemen, are embarrassing. They're horrible in epic proportions because it gives a bad look for the district. We had, it's not long ago that we had a BISD board member, trustee, found guilty of bribery and Sylvia Atkinson in the amount of $10,000. BISD has a black eye. The scandal at Rivera, that hasn't even been addressed. They're trying to keep it hush, hush. They're sending Cindy Lizondo, a counselor at Rivera, who knew about the student-teacher relationship. They're sending her to veterans to be with her comadre, Norma Jean, who was a former principal at Rivera, who knew very well of the culture at Rivera. She was a principal there for, I don't know the exact number, but years. And she also overlooked the student-teacher relationship. You see how BISD kind of digs the bodies, how sweeps things under the rug. And BISD, if you do something bad, you're going to get promoted. You're going to get moved. Minerva's actions are embarrassing. They really are. They're embarrassing and horrible. But we've seen this from her. We've seen this previously, how she thinks that she's better, that she knows the law, and you can't do anything to me. Really, ma'am? We covered her story on Miss Minerva Pena earlier. Earlier, we had Carlos Elizondo make a threat on my live. He said that I should call my uncle Erasmo Castro, who recently passed away, to call him because I'm going to need help. And after he did that, I started recording. I said, you know what? I'm going to record this guy. And he happens to sit next to Minerva Pena. And Minerva Pena was like, oh, you want to take pictures of me? I'll take pictures of you. She was taunting me after the fact that she knew that I stated that Carlos Elizondo threatened my life. And I did a story on her. And she was charged with nepotism. We all know the story. She was charged with nepotism when her daughter-in-law got a job at BISD. And again, politicos, they always get the benefit of the doubt. They asked her, look, ma'am, resign and she'll keep the job, your daughter-in-law. Resign from the board. If not, stay on the board, but we got to get rid of her. What did we see from Ms. Minerva Pena? She didn't resign. This is a person that needs this position to feel important, to feel relevant. And what happened? We're sad to report, ladies and gentlemen, that beautiful woman, that beautiful soul that was starting out in life and was going to start a family and was going to earn a paycheck, an honest living, and was going to be an amazing woman down the road. She took her life. She took her life with her husband's firearm, who's a federal agent. She couldn't go through the embarrassment, how could my mother-in-law do this to me? How could she? How could she? This is a person, ladies and gentlemen. This is a person that doesn't care. Minerva Pena's actions are embarrassing and they're horrible. She admitted in an open forum, that she was discussing cost, that she was aware of how much it would be. She was negotiating. She admitted that she was negotiating with a vendor. And this is the faction. These are the three individuals that Daniela Lopez Valdez is going to make a deal with. We hope and we pray that she doesn't, because she's been hearing about what we've been saying. And she's worried that it's going to get back. And they don't want Frankie to be right. I don't want me to be right. But deep down inside, they know that I'm right. And again, I'm just a humble servant. I don't want to take credit for this. I just want justice. I want the right thing to happen in regards to the placement of the board member for Erasmo Castro, who is very dear to my heart. And they should put somebody that's going to represent the citizens of Brownsville, because if you don't, you are spitting in the face, in the grave of Erasmo Castro, who was all about BISD, who was all about the community. And we hear, and we've been reporting 2 weeks ago that they wanted to nominate Martin Sarkis. Of all people, really? This is the faction. Minerva Pena is part of that team that Daniela Lopez Valdez is willing to make a deal with. This is the ones that you were going to be working with, but it broke down. Maybe because we got ahead of the story. Here at Good Morning Brownsville, we're going to find out who the board members wanted. Again, they met behind executive session. We're going to know eventually. Maybe the candidates themselves will tell us, the potential candidates. They love to talk. They love to talk. Iglesias Barrera, he might be your next board member, ladies and gentlemen. According to our sources that we've been reporting since 2 weeks ago. But we don't know what was discussed in executive session, because Frank Ortiz, board member Frank Ortiz, he made a motion to go into executive session yesterday. So the public, we couldn't hear what they had to say regarding the appointment, regarding the nominations. But it's funny because before all this happened, ladies and gentlemen, Frank Ortiz was very adamant, first, that he wanted an election. He told Carlos, he told Minerva, he told Martin, he told Martin's people. But before that, he was adamant that he didn't want it done in executive session. He wanted the meeting to be out in the public forum, to discuss the qualifications of the potential candidates to replace Erasmo Castro and place 7, the seat of place 7. Why did they go into executive session? Why? Why was it not right to do it back then, but now it is? Were they embarrassed of who they wanted? Were they scared of who was in the crowd that made them say, no, let's not do this in public? From my understanding, you had 2 candidates that applied. 2 candidates in the meeting. What is y'all's take on this, fam? Are y'all okay? Is this business as usual? Is this our expectations for our board members who don't follow proper protocol, who don't follow the procedures, who are overstepping their boundaries as policymakers and are trying to be the decision makers of logistics? Again, we're not dealing with a freshman. This is a seasoned politician, someone who after her term will have served her community for 20 years. She is very well versed on protocols and on procedures, very well versed. And according to her, she knows the law. It's interesting. It's very interesting that these people are either brave, they don't care, or they're dumb. And they don't understand the severity of this. Could this be another form of nepotism? Could it be? Again, this is somebody that has no regard for the law that she claims to know and to follow, because she's been charged before. She's been arrested before for nepotism. Makes you wonder, is this individual, I don't care. Nothing's going to happen to me. Martin Molina says, so the board is not transparent, as they said before. All of them ran on that promise. What are they hiding? We, the people, demand accountability. And that's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Transparency, fiscally responsible are talking points, are words that are used very loosely, very, very loosely by politicians. And they say that once they go into office, they're going to be transparent and they're going to work for you, the people. Not so. Shouldn't the community be involved in the election process and the appointment process of this vacant seat? Why didn't they appoint somebody back in March? Why didn't they go out for an election back in May? In March, they knew of the 180 days. Where's the transparency? Carlos Elizondo, we showed on yesterday's show how he stated that, oh, no, May is too soon. We want a candidate to run a good campaign. That's not your job, sir. That's us, the community's job, to decide who we want. We should be involved, Molina. We should be those individuals because, again, we're stakeholders. We're taxpayers. Millions and millions of dollars are at stake moving forward. Millions of dollars. But why did they wait to the 11th hour? Because they want to control somebody. This is all about millions and millions of dollars. So I pose a question to our Cameron County District Attorney. Will the District Attorney, Mr. Luis V. Saenz, will he investigate Ms. Minerva Pena for blatantly, no secret, out in public, stating that, yes, I brought him, and yes, we talked numbers, and yes, this is good for the district? She blatantly negotiated with a vendor when that role is solely on Dr. Chavez and his staff. Are you okay with that, ladies and gentlemen? It's scary whenever we have board members who are seasoned politicians who have no disdain, no respect for the law. Minerva's actions are embarrassing and they're horrible. She admitted that she was negotiating with a vendor, and these are the people that Daniela Lopez Valdez is making a deal with. That's what we're dealing with at the school district, ladies and gentlemen. So I pose a question. Will the district attorney investigate? Will he look into this matter? Because these are very serious allegations, and allegations that it's not us that are making up. No, this was done in an open forum. This was done openly. Again, I'm not claiming to be a legal expert like Minerva Pena. I do not know the law. I did not go to school for that. But it sounds like a crime when you negotiate with a vendor. That's just me. I'm just a concerned citizen, a humble servant. That when she was speaking, it doesn't sound right. Minerva, córtale. And she kept on and on and on and on and on. I was like, you're hanging yourself. That is what we're dealing with at the school district, ladies and gentlemen. They will be having a special call board meeting on June 24th. What's going to happen on that day? Will they bring in potential candidates, potential nominees? Will the nominees be allowed to give presentations to the community? Will the nominees be given an interview Will they select someone on that day? We don't know. And what happens if we get to August and no appointment is made? TA will come. And what level? There's several levels in which they come in. One to supervise, one to manage, and one's to full take over. Boom. There's levels to TEA coming in. I thought we wanted local control. I thought we wanted to deal with our issues. It doesn't seem that way. Brownsville. Should Minerva Pena be charged with the crime after last night's board meeting? Will the district attorney look into this matter? It's very serious. We should not have a board member, an elected official, negotiating with vendors. My name is Frankie Olivo, and this is Good Morning Brownsville. Make sure you tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, all summer long, we're going to give you nothing but bangers. We got great stories coming up. I hope you tune in. Once again, my name is Frankie Olivo, and this is Good Morning Brownsville. Ciao! No outro, elevator music. Team, just positive vibes. Peace.